Leah Borges. We are going to talk today about KPIs for AEs and why it's important. If you don't know me, again, my name is Leah. I'm a sales coach and advisor for top tier AEs and sales teams. And I help you get better results faster and close more deals quicker while crushing your quota at the same time. So let's get right into it. Uh, I've been talking over the last few days about sales teams are missing quota. And there's a statistic, it's a rather sobering statistic. 91% of sales teams are missing their quota. Why is that? It's because we're not tracking the KPIs and we're not doing the right activities. So, along with that 91% statistic, if we also take into account that only 20% of sales reps or AEs are consistently reviewing their performance against the KPIs, we can understand why so many teams are missing their targets, missing their revenue targets, missing their quota. And at the very least, you're leaving money on the table, right? So even if you're meeting your quota, even if you exceed your quota a little bit, just imagine if you could make 10, 25, 35% over that. So that's what we're talking about today. This entire week, I've called it Clarity Week, and meeting your quota and meeting your revenue targets all starts with clarity. So that's what we're going to start this week. We're breaking down all of KPIs. So let's talk a little bit about what KPIs are. KPIs stand for key performance indicators. And think of it as like a scoreboard. It's a scoreboard for people that sell things, right? So, like sales teams who I'm talking to right now, and AEs, you who I'm talking about right now, you're probably doing a fantastic job with closing, with meeting your quotas, et cetera. But let's take that to the next level by focusing in on the KPIs. So, the KPIs essentially help you understand if you're tracking them, if you're doing a good job or not, and what's working and what's not, and what might need some adjusting, right? And in my experience, when I'm looking at a client of mine, if I'm looking at their dashboard, I'm talking to them about their close rate, et cetera, that's one of the very first things that I want to see. I want to see what KPIs they're measuring. And we are talking about what they need to do to make certain things happen. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the discovery to demo KPI, because that's one of the most important ones that's going to get us to the end goal of hitting our revenue target, hitting our quotas, etc. So the discovery to demo KPIs is how many, it's your conversion rate of how many discovery calls actually led to a demo or a presentation. And this is really, really important to track because obviously the more you convert, the more you're going to get to the next step, right? And the demo is not like the last step, but it's the next step to getting a closed deal. Okay, so let me just look at my notes really quickly. So we're going to think of the discovery call as a play in football, right? So let's think about a sports analogy. Imagine you are a football player, a football team, and there's no yard markers on the field. You don't know how many yards you're getting per play. You don't know how many more yards you need to get to the end zone, right? So you're essentially flying blind. This is akin to what not knowing and what not understanding your your discovery to demo KPI. What is the end result of that? You're flying blind if you're not paying attention to this. And it's not your fault. Like a lot of sales organizations, the CRMs, et cetera, they're tracking things, but they're not necessarily set up to have you be successful when you're looking at your deals and your conversion rates and so forth. So the very first KPI that we want to determine and we want to understand is discovery to demo KPIs. So it does a couple of different things, right? So when you're in your discovery call, discovery to demo KPI indicates a couple of different things. Are you doing a good job? Obviously, number one. Number two, how long is the discovery call lasting? Number three, are you uncovering the right information to get to the next step? And number four, when you go back and look at your discovery call later, have you qualified that buyer or that opportunity fully. Okay. So if your discovery to demo KPI is low, it's lower than it needs to be, or even if it's not, 9 times out of 10, there's things that you can do to fix it. Okay. So we are wanting to set up in our discovery call why we're there, why the buyer is there, what we're going to help them with. So we have to be crystal clear on this, right? It's not small talk. Like, obviously, you want to do some small talk. You want to get the niceties out of the way, and then you really want to think about the buyer and their business. So if you look at your how many discovery calls you're doing in a week's time, 2 weeks time, and then you look at how many of those actually flip to a demo, like you were able to progress them to a demo, that'll give you a good idea of how good that KPI is, how good your discovery call is. Okay, so let's take 10, for example. You have 10 discovery calls and only 3 went to demo. So that says that you need to go back and get some more information or review those calls or get some coaching on those calls and see what you can do to improve that discovery to demo KPI. Okay. And if your CRM is not tracking this, then a lot of times we get lost in the sauce, right? I liken it to being in the soup, right? We're so much in the soup, we're so much in the day to day, and we're focused on some of the deals right in front of us that we don't pay attention to the metrics, right? We don't pay attention to the key performance indicators and how we can affect those and how we can improve those over time. So by reviewing your calls and looking at the KPI and being cognizant and aware of what our conversion rate is from discovery to demo, we understand if we're doing a good job, what's working, what's not. We can go back and dissect the call and fix some things. But we can't do that if we're not tracking that number, if we're not tracking that metric. And as an AE, as an account executive, whether you're in SaaS, tech, or manufacturing, this KPI is super, super important because the deals are won and lost in discovery. Like, there's no two ways about it. So we need to be cognizant. We need to track that KPI. Okay, let's take let's take an opposite a look at another KPI. So we did 10 discovery calls. We did six of those went to demo. Right, sounds great. But it took us a long time to make that demo or that presentation happen. Okay, so now we're not only looking at the number, we're not only looking at the conversion rate, but we're also looking at the quality of the call. Okay, so a lot of times if we're in discovery and we are uncovering things that are important to our buyer, we hit some emotional chords with them. We have them buy into talking to us further, and we have set ourselves up as a trusted advisor. Then the time from discovery to demo will be shorter and the quality will be better. The quality of the information, the quality of the overall opportunity is going to be better. Conversely, if you're rushing through discovery, which is what I see a lot, we will set the appointment, right? Because we've been told ad nauseum by our VP, by our director of sales, whomever, that we need to set the next step, right? So we're going to do that. But when we get there, we're presented with more objections, more roadblocks, et cetera. And that also signifies that we didn't do a great job in discovery. So there's within that discovery to demo KPI, there's little more indicators, right? How soon is the next meeting? How soon is the demo coming? How long did it take me to set it up? When I got to the demo, how relevant was it? How easily am I going to get from that demo to a presentation call, or do I need to set up another discovery, right? So all of these things. So it's not just the one number. It isn't, but it is. It's not just the one number. It's all the little sub numbers when we're tracking the discovery to demo KPI, right? So what I help AEs with is exactly this. And this is one of the things that I ask to see first and foremost. What is your discovery to demo conversion rate? What does it look like, right? Because from that, we can look at the quality of the calls. We can look at why a call may be stalled, an opportunity may be stalled. We can look at why the discovery to demo conversion rate is low. We can look at why it's taking us so long, like why is the buyer rescheduling and rescheduling and rescheduling, right? I know you guys have had that happen because this has happened to me. and many of the AEs that I coach also, and many of the sales teams that I coach. This has happened to them. So it's really important that we track that number. Okay, so here is the takeaway for KPIs. KPIs are the playing field of your opportunity. You have to know how many yards you need, how many yards you need to get closer to the end zone. And the touchdown, if we're going to make analogies, the touchdown is a close opportunity, right? And not just a close opportunity, it's a close opportunity for the highest ARR that you can get based on the buyer's problems, right? And one thing I want to stress is that we're never doing anything that is not in our buyer's best interest. Like, I'm very big on that. You need to maintain your integrity throughout the entire sales process. And this is what I build my reputation on. This is what I built my business on. And this is what I teach when I'm teaching AEs or sales teams. Please have your integrity intact throughout the entire opportunity, throughout the entire life cycle of that opportunity. It's so important. Don't sell something they don't need, but at the same time, you need to make sure that you are diving into the problem and that you understand what problem you're solving for your buyer, and is that one going to give them the most bang for their buck, so to speak? Is that really going to impact their revenues? Is that really going to impact their cost savings? So these are the things that we're looking at, okay? So it's really, really important. If you are doing 10 demos a week, let's just say 10 demos a week, and your conversion rate, like you convert 10 of those, 10 discovery calls, and you convert 3 of those discovery calls go to the demo or the presentation, and you get there, and then there's stalls, there's objections, and so forth. That's a quality problem, and it's probably also a quantity problem. So knowing these things will give you an idea of the things you need to look at when you're looking at recorded calls, and not just recorded calls. I'm not just talking about the gong stats, right? Because a lot of times we'll have the talk tracks and we'll say who talked the most and so forth and so on, okay? It's not that. It's looking at what you're saying during the call. It's looking at what you know as an organization, as a seller, that's going to push that deal forward. And it's understanding your client's business and what problem you're solving and what is going to give them the most value, right? That is the thing that we're looking at. So within the discovery to demo KPI, we're looking at the conversion rate. We're also looking at the deal velocity, and we'll talk about that later. And we're also looking at the quality, the questions we ask, and the responses that we get, and how we're able to push that call forward. So the KPIs are really important. That's what we're focusing on during this week, which is what I call Clarity Week, right? Because we can't optimize our quota. We can't crush our quota if we don't have clarity on what we need to do that, and where we are right now. So understanding that discovery to demo KPI is going to make you understand where you are right now and what you need to do to improve it. Because no matter what our close rate is, we can always improve our discovery call, and thus improve our ratio, improve that KPI. Okay, so here's a couple of tips of how you can measure that discovery to demo / presentation KPI. What you need to do is go to your CRM and look at all of your discovery calls, pull all of those, and then run a report of how many of those discovery calls went to demo / presentation. Okay, that will give you the raw number of what your discovery to demo KPI looks like what is the actual number. Outside of that, if your CRM doesn't track that, or if it's super hard to pull reports, right? Because I know Salesforce is like super complicated sometimes. What I want you to do, and this is an action point for everyone, what I want you to do starting today is track every single discovery call you have till you get to 10. And then I want you to track when the demo is, or the presentation is scheduled, or how many actually went to a demo or presentation. And that might take you a couple of weeks. It might take you 2 to 3 weeks, but it's worth it. You need to have the data because, again, if we don't know how much yardage we need, we don't know how to get there, and we don't know what to fix. We don't know what to adjust. So track 10 of your discovery calls, track how many of those actually go to a demo, and then you'll have your number. And then also what I want you to do is when you get to the demo slash presentation, I want you to focus in on the quality of the demo. Was it customized? Did the buyer know exactly what you're going to show them? And was it relevant? And is it going to go to the next step? Does it make sense? So those are the things that I want you to do when we're done here. Track 10 of your discovery calls. Did they go to demo? How fast they went to demo? And when you got to the demos or the presentation, was there relevance? How is it moving forward, right? Because that'll also give us an idea, like I said before, of the quality. And that is super important. So we're not just tracking the raw numbers, although we need to have the raw data to be able to adjust and fix things and get better and, hit our quota and not leave money on the table. But we also really need to uptick the quality. And no matter if you knew, even if you're hitting 125% of your quota, that's a great number. It's fantastic. But we can always do better when it comes to the quality and the problems that we're solving and how we relate to our buyer. Okay. So if this was helpful to you, if this was something eye-opening to you with regards to the KPIs, some of the numbers that we talked about before with 91% of sales teams and sellers missing their quota and why, then please drop a comment below or DM me on LinkedIn. It's definitely something I can help you with. 9 times out of 10, if I look at a transcript or I look at one of your recorded discovery calls within 3 to 5 minutes, I can give you at least 3 to 5 things that you can fix that's going to help you up level your discovery and increase your chances of hitting your quota. Like, no joke. Within 3 to 5 minutes, I can do that. And that's what I usually do with my clients. So if you're interested in that, please DM me. Again, I'll be here every day this week. We're calling it Clarity Week. We're starting with KPIs. Today was the discovery to demo KPI, and tomorrow we'll focus on another one. Okay, so thank you for being here. If this was helpful, please like, comment, and share this video with someone else. If you're catching me on YouTube, check me out on LinkedIn, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great day, and happy selling.